Hello, this is Iman from Darwish Math Channel. Today I'll be teaching you how to calculate percentages very easy without calculator, just using our lovely brain to do it. No more talking, let's do this. So 15% of 200, what is the number? So to make it really easy for you to solve it, start the number percent on 10% because that's just good start. So what is 10% of 200? Simply just move the point to the left, or divide it by 10. So we will get that 10% of 200 is 20. So what is 5% of 200? It's just half of 20, which is 10. You can see that I write it out. So, to get the 15%, simply add the number 20 plus 10 and 10% plus 15%, which is 15% is equal to 30. As you can see, it's not that bad, it's very easy. Time for another problem. What is 25% of 300? So just like always, we need to find 10% of 300 first. That would make this problem piece of cake. To get the 10% value of 300, simply move the point to the left one time, or divide it by 10. And it's 30. So what is 5% of 300? Well, it's just half of 30 and 10%, which is 15. So now, we gotta add all the percentage and number it equals. 10% plus 10% plus 5% is equal to 25%, and the number 30 plus 15 is equal to 75. 25% is equal to 75. What is 40% of 500? This problem is easy, try this out for yourself. Just like always, we need to find 10% of 500 first. It would make this problem easy. Move the decimal point one time or divide it by 10, any choice doesn't matter. Time to write 10% is equal to 54 times, because 10% times 4 is equal to 40%. So we get that 10% times 4 is 40%. And 50 times 4 is 200. What is 24% of 80? Starting with 10%, what is 10% of 80? Simply move the decimal point one time or divide it by 10, just like always. So what is 1% of 80? Simply just move decimal point to the left one time on number 8. And 1% of 8 is 0.8. You can divide it by 10, it's alright. Let's write for 1%. You don't have to do it, but I will to make you guys understand easy. So adding all the number, which is 10% plus 10% plus 1% plus 1% plus 1% plus 1% or 20% plus 4%, which is 24%. And adding the number, which is 8 plus 0.8 plus 0.8 plus 0.8 plus 0.8. So adding 16 and 3.2, we will get that it's 19.2. What is 33% of 120? So just like always, we're going to start looking for 10% of 120. It's just a really nice start for our brain. So 10% of 120 is 120. Just simply move decimal point to the left one time or divide it by 10. 10% plus 10% plus 10% is 30%. So, how to find 1% of 120? Well, just simply do this. So let's find 1% of 120. Simply move the decimal point to the left one time or divide it by 10. So adding 3 times 10%, which is 30%. 12 plus 12 plus 12 is 36. 1% plus 1% plus 1% is 3%. 1.2 plus 1.2 plus 1.2 is 3.6. So adding all the number and percentages. 30% plus 3% is 33%. 36 plus 3.6 is 39.6. Which is 33% is equal to 39.6. This will be the last problem of this video. What is 18% of 39? Starting on 10%, what is 10% of 39? Well, just simply move the decimal point to the left one time or divide it by 10. Second is, let's find 5% of 39. Well, it's just half of 10%, which is 1.95. Well, it's just half of 3.9. Third is, let's find 1% of 39. I added 1% because 10% plus 5% plus 1% plus 1% plus 1% is 18% in total. So 1% of 39 is 0.3, just simply move the decimal point to the left one time on number 10%. So it's just some math to deal with it. Let's multiply 0.39 by 3, you can just add the number, but let's do multiply to make it interesting. 9 times 3 is 27, putting the 2 on top of 3, 3 times 3 is 9 plus 2 is 11 and 3 times 1 is just 0 and just place 1 on bottom. Now time to add the numbers and percentages, 3.9 plus 1.9 plus 1.17. And adding the percentages number also, which is 10% plus 5% plus 1% plus 1% plus 1% is 18%. So adding all the numbers and percentages. 3.9 plus 1.9 plus 1.7 is equal to 7.02. So we can say that 18% of 39 is equal to 7.02.